Before they begin tasting the contestants' wine, the judges review their business plan and marketing strategy. The winner will be determined not only on the merits of their wine, but also on their ability to launch their brand.
So when I was waiting in the courtyard to see the judges, I was thinking about everything that had happened up to that point, you know, all the things that we had done, all the effort that I had put into all sorts of things to get myself there. And I felt pretty confident at that point.
Okay, so the first wine we're going to taste is Taylor's, and it's called Cellar 805.
For a Grenache-based wine, I'm expecting the wine to kind of pop with that real beautiful red fruit quality, and I'm just not getting it. And I'm wondering if the wine maybe isn't integrated enough yet, or if that's where the wine is going. But I might also question the price point and the value proposition at $15 to $25 in comparison to what else is out there.
But I did find that as the wine opened up a bit more, I was more pleased with it. I actually think it's improving with some time in the glass.
Okay, next up is James's wine. And, you know, he's got a real passion for French wine. In fact, he called the wine Forte, and, you know, through the weeks, he's been talking up Bandol. So let's see how this works.
This one particularly from James, I can see a lot more black fruit in this one. There's a little bit of tar and spice. Price pointing at around the $20 mark I think is okay. I don't think it's brilliant, but I think it's a pretty good first effort.
The issue I'm having with James's wine, there isn't a lot of complexity to the wine at all, enjoyable to drink.
Well, and that's a fundamental flaw, because he's not making a one-note wine or one varietal wine, he's making a GSM. So this is, by nature, a blended wine which should have a lot of complexity, yet it falls short there.
I was ready for anything that could possibly happen. The pendulum is already swinging, so win or lose, I woke up this morning feeling very good about myself.
Okay, so now we're on the third wine, and this is from Ross. It's called a 45 RPM, which makes sense because he's from down around Austin, Texas, and thus he's a big music fan. So let's check it out.
I was ready to be finished. I was ready for the conclusion. I wanted the verdict. I have reached the point in my professional career where I'm ready to start something new, and this is it.
I think he could do something more adventurous. This wine is adventurous, and the label is not. So to me, I think there might be some evolution there.
In a way, you wish they were combined. It would be the ultimate combination to have both Ross and Taylor running a winery, but at the end of the day, we have to pick one person.
I have a lot to say about this wine. I mean, you think about it, we get in the wine business because we want to be moved by something. We want to have something stand out. And for a first attempt, I am so moved by this wine.
It was made very much in a Rhone style. I mean, I could have been fooled in thinking I was tasting a simple Côte du Rhône from France. And I also, like you, love the fact that not only does he use Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre, he used Petite Syrah and Zinfandel. And I think that was a wonderful bridge between Paso Robles wines and wines from the Rhone Valley.
Okay, are we ready to bring them in? Yes. Okay, let's bring in Taylor.
As I was walking down to the judges to talk to them about my blend, I was prepared for anything at this point. I knew I was going to get some questions fielded that I wasn't going to be comfortable with, but I was ready to sort of defend where I am.
Okay, Taylor, before we move on, I'd like to introduce you to our guest judges. You know Michael from Crush Pad. We also have Jean-Luc Ledoux and Debbie Zacharias, and they're both retailers and former sommeliers.
Taylor, you put a lot of time and energy and thought into this business plan. There were a few things I highlighted, but one of them that really stood out to me was you said each wine will have a distinctive high-end label not typically seen at this price point. And I wrote, you think? I mean, what makes you think that there's not a lot of wines already in this category? $15 to $25, 2,000 cases made.
Because I've been looking for wines like that. You know, we don't need another $50 Syrah, another $100 Cab. There aren't that many wines that are actually interesting. There are a lot of wines that are very bland, and there are a lot of wines that are just, you know, ho-hum, but there are not a lot of interesting wines with interesting packaging at that price. They might have interesting packaging, but, you know, a little over the top and contain bland wine.
Well, Taylor, first of all, kudos to your wine. I think when it was first poured, I was not a big fan, but I think as the wine developed in a glass, it really got a lot of character. And I think even though, yes, as retailer, we do see a lot of wine in the $15 to $20 range, I think your wines would fit nicely in that category and would, you know, definitely would have a shot.
Jean-Luc said he was off a little, but he liked it at the end. So it was really no comment.
Okay, Taylor, I think we're done here. Can you send in James?
As I walked down the cave, I felt as if I won. I felt that I couldn't have given anything else to this show. You can't go down that hallway with any other thought besides winning.
James, when I read through your proposal, I was struck by your use of a term that can mean a lot of different things. You said you wanted to make a cult wine. You've priced this wine at $20. You're using purchased grapes. What does cult wine have to do with that? What's cult wine mean to you?
Well, you know, cult wine is something that's often used. I think cult in the sense that this wine will have its own following. Forte will have its own culture.
But you don't think that cult means something to the American consumer? The cult wine means it's $100 and $200 a bottle, and you can't get it.
With me, things are going to be different. I'm going to say, hey, this wine, you can be a part of this cult.
The whole premise of a cult wine is inaccessibility. That's really what a cult wine is.
Cult is a very ambiguous word. It's not for the wine industry. It's a word that is just like reserve. What does that really mean? Does reserve really mean reserve?
Okay, James, let's talk a little bit about your wine. I think the definition of a Rhone-style wine is complexity. You've got different grape blends in there, and there should be a lot going on. I actually thought your wine was very drinkable, but I didn't get a lot from it. There weren't a lot of different things going on in there. In fact, I almost felt like as time went on, it became more monochromatic.
My wine knowledge is spot on. It's been proven, and for those who know me, they know that I am my own wine authority.
Okay, James, thank you. And can you please send in Ross?
Thank you. Merci, Amil. You make me a better winemaker. Thank you.
Ross, before I open things up to my colleagues, I wanted to ask you a question myself. And that is the name of your wine, 45 RPM. The question is, through your time here, you've chosen to show that you're very committed to quality wine. But why would you name a wine in such a casual way?
That's a great question. I am trying to simultaneously impress the wine expert who has some preconceived notion and some expectations, but I'd also like to attract people who wouldn't otherwise maybe pick up a bottle of wine at $20 or $30.
You make an interesting point here when you define your target market. Why not well-educated consumers? I mean, you've priced it for people who know something about wine.
I would think really seriously about the price point because especially entering into the marketplace as a new winery, you want to over-deliver, so you really have to think about that.
I honestly wasn't that intimidated by them because they're retailers and I kind of live in their world. So if anything, I kind of wanted to just show them that I understood where they were coming from and I was trying to offer them something that they could sell.
But I have to say, the wine, I taste a lot of wines and I get pretty jaded, and I tasted your wine and I got excited about it, and it reminds me of why I love what I do.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was quite delicious. I think it really captured the spirit of Paso Robles as a wine region. And I think the end result tasted for me like a very fine Rhone village wine, you know, like a Séguret or a Sablé or a Queyranne. You know, it had that kind of power. It was not over-alcoholic. There was a very good sense of balance. Nice job.
So when Jean-Luc, a French sommelier, went as far as to compare my wine to a Côte d'Aron village, I was flattered, I was floored.
This competition is almost over. The 3 remaining contestants have devoted months to learning the art, science, and business of winemaking. In just a few minutes, one of them will be selected as the winner and earn the title of the Winemaker.
Walking into the wine cave for the last time was a real mix of emotions for me. I mean, on the one hand, being at Justin's and being in Paso and enjoying, you know, all of the beauty in the surrounding area, I really wanted to soak it in and remember the moment.
3 of you are here because you all have at least one piece of the puzzle in terms of what it is to be a good winemaker. But what we're looking for is the full package.
Ross, you made excellent wine. You also had a surprisingly good business plan.
For me, Taylor, you were the business brain of the group. You put together the most extensive and thorough business plan.
And your wine was pretty good too, I have to say.
James, your desire to be a winemaker, we cannot deny. That's what's gotten you this far. But your focus is questionable, and your knowledge of wine in comparison to Taylor and Ross is lacking.
When Leslie said that my wine knowledge was lacking from Taylor and Ross, I wanted to lash out and say, you've got to be kidding me. You obviously weren't there when I tasted that 88 Lafite Rothschild when I was 22, and it changed my life.
But before we share the results with you, our guest judge, Jean-Luc, has something to say to you.
Well, gentlemen, it's obvious to me that you know the wines of Paso Robles very well. So it would be my privilege to invite the winner of this competition for a 2 weeks, all expenses paid trip to the Rhône Valley, so you can discover the wonderful wine that we make there as well. And I look forward to seeing you there.
But we do have a winner. Ross, congratulations. You're the winemaker.
The decision that was made by the judges was completely wrong. I deserve to go to Côte d'Aron. You know, I've been buying French wine for long enough. Someone should send me to France.
I felt a little bit like I got kicked in the chest, but I was really happy for Ross. We formed a bond early on, and after getting over the initial shock of losing, I was happy for Ross, absolutely, and I wanted to give him his moment in the spotlight.
My experience on the show really has strengthened my resolve for what I do. I am the winemaker.